I am the Shahid Afridi of election reporters.
He's made life miserable for the Bharatiya Janata Party.
Prime Minister Modi, if you're watching, I speak good Gujarati.
You going to West Bengal?
No, I have a conflict. Yeah, you can say it, conflict of interest.
You're watching Chunav Ke Chaudhary. I'm Preeti Chaudhary. With me is Rajdeep Sardesai, who is the Chunav Ke Chaudhary, and we're in the middle of a Chunav. Finally, 7-phase law.
That's right. Preeti and I have been traveling, crisscrossing the country, different parts, and we finally come back to the national capital for a short break because this is Preeti a marathon in excruciatingly hot India at this moment. I was in Maharashtra the other day and it was really hot at about 2 in the afternoon. And I tipped my hat to these politicians conducting road shows in this heat. I remember Mr. Kumaraswamy at 1 o'clock in the afternoon was looking as fresh as a daisy while I was sort of wilting. But that's, they've got...
At least they're going to get something out of it.
They've got skin in the game.
Yeah. What is it there?
No, look, what is in it for us? What is in it for us to cover an election is the sheer diversity of watching these politicians do their number across the country. I think, this is the most remarkable country, Preeti, in the world, where you can go to one corner of the country, like I went to Maharashtra near Baramati, go 50 kilometers away from Baramati, and there's huge water scarcity. People are walking kilometers to get water. The tanker comes once in 8 days. And you can be in Pune, which is looking like, competing with Bengaluru to be the new IT capital of the country. So it's the sheer diversity of India which makes covering an election so attractive.
Same here, because I was in Rajasthan, and Jaipur is practically what you said is the Pune of Rajasthan. And then you go all the way to Barmer, which is about like couple of hours away, and there's just no water. It's your favorite line, tyranny of distance.
I was in Maharashtra for a few days, and just speaking Marathi made me feel so good.
See, and
I was I was with Sahil Joshi, my colleague.
You can pick up on nuances that if you know the language better, that you can't really do otherwise.
And we got this, for the first time Ajit Pawar ever came on camera to speak to a national channel, that too at 6:45 in the morning. But I think what really worked was because Sahil and me spoke to him the night before in Marathi, we sort of softened him up. And language makes a huge difference. So, Prime Minister Modi, if you're watching, I speak good Gujarati. You and I can go on maybe a campaign trail.
You want to campaign for the Prime Minister?
I'm hoping that Prime Minister Modi will take me on a day on the campaign trail. Look, I enjoy elections. On most days, I get up during elections on my plate at 5:30 in the morning. I'll give you a great example.
Really? We sleep at 5 o'clock and I'm on the road for election dispatch.
Yeah, so you sort of drive in the night, but I do some, my producer wants a shot of sunrise.
Oh yeah.
At Marina Beach. Now he decided that we've got to do it at 4:45 a.m. in the morning. I said, what? No, he said, look, sunrise is at 6, but we'll build into that and we'll get the right mood. I mean, come on, at my age, you're putting me at 4:45 in the morning.
That's the joy of seniority.
And the other day,
you pull out one show in a week. We have to do 5 shows in a week.
We needed a board of Baramati.
Right.
So we drove again back from Pune looking for that board and ended up driving 50 kilometers. I said, are we going to now drive this road till you see that board of Baramati? Look, when you're doing that kind of old-fashioned TV in a way, I'll give you an example. Many years ago, I worked for a program called The World This Week with Prannoy Roy, and we were covering Nepal. And my camera person insisted I insisted that my first shot was going to be about how there's a new sunrise over Nepal. The first communist government had won an election there.
So you wanted to shoot a sunrise.
So we waited looking at Everest for the sun to rise. And the first day it was clouded out. Next day we got it. Now, nobody does that anymore.
Yeah, that's the joy of television, or used to be the joy of television.
Used to be. So I tried doing some of that, from time to time. But I've had a great time. I went to Mysore and tasted the Mailari dosa. Do you know there's nothing called a Mysore dosa? Nothing. All over the country you have a Mysore masala dosa.
Right.
It does not exist. The real dosa is a Mailari dosa, and it's made of sago. That's what you've got to have. It's beautiful.
At least you got some food.
And guess what?
We have one meal in a day.
And let me
one meal in a day. And if we get it, we are lucky.
Poor Preeti is suffering. I'm not. Okay, the fact is, let me give you a classic.
Yes.
In Mysore, the BJP candidate is this Yaduvir Vodiyar from the royal family. Debutant, about 31 years old. America returned. So it was really hot, right? And he was having a glass of water and so was I. And I said, for you, this must be very different from the palace, this heat. He said, no, we don't have any air conditioners in the palace except in my room. And I said, what? Here is this king. I couldn't believe it. The king is living in this large palace or prince, and he doesn't have a proper air conditioner. But, it's an interesting seat because Pratap Simha was the two-time MP, pretty popular in the area. But he's been replaced by
because of what went down possibly in the parliament. Yes,
maybe
or no?
could be one of the reasons. I'm not sure of anti-incumbency, but could be, was seen as controversial, contentious, but very popular. So it's interesting. It's the one time even a prince has to come out of the palace and be a citizen. I think that's what elections do. Whether you're a prince or whether you're a pauper, when you go for votes, vote
that one time when people become king, you can actually see the dynamics of politicians and the polity change completely.
And Preeti, when like Ajit Pawar, calls it at 6:45 in the morning, I reach at 6:30. There are 500 people at least outside his house in his garden.
That's
amazing. Those are real mass leaders.
But exactly.
Have you seen any of them in Rajasthan or where
Ashok Gehlot is a mass leader. Though his son is fighting from Jalore, but it's practically Ashok Gehlot fighting because he's not moving out of Jalore, he's staying put and he's practically fighting this election for his son, and you can see that kind of traction where Ashok Gehlot is concerned. But let me tell you about Rajasthan. Sachin Pilot pulls in the crowd, but both Ashok Gehlot and Sachin Pilot are not fighting, but somebody who's fighting and who's pulling in crowds, which are insane, Rajdeep, is an independent from Barmer, Ravinder Singh Bhati.
Interesting character, 27-year-old?
27-year-old, BJP ideology, wanted a ticket for from the BJP in state elections, was refused, decided to go independent from Shio constituency in Barmer, won.
Wow.
Came back and said, give me the ticket for Barmer. And he was refused because you have Kailash Chaudhary, a strong Jat leader from Barmer, MOS agriculture. Third time, 10 years already, there huge amount of anti-incumbency, but the BJP decided to go with the sitting MP, Kailash Chaudhary. He was refused. He decided to go independent. He's made life miserable for the Bharatiya Janata Party, and the kind of crowds, Rajdeep, this man is pulling, this young 27-year-old is pulling is bizarre.
When people tell me democracy is dead, I believe institutions have weakened, and that's really a serious problem, democratic institutions. But out there are still people like Bhati and others who are connecting with audiences, who are getting receptive audiences. And I think as long as that diversity, I think India's diversity will ensure that India's democracy does not die. I remember we did this rally of Kamal Hassan and Dayanidhi Maran. And, the women thought, I'm sorry, the DMK women thought I'm Kamal Hassan's brother. So there was a line.
But Kamal Hassan's brother.
There was a selfie.
You're not even Kamal Hassan.
There was a selfie line longer than a Salman Khan first day, first show. And my cameraman, for a while we thought that they were watching English news TV. Then I told them, bloody hell, they couldn't be there watching Tamil news and they think I'm Kamal Hassan's brother. And I also played along. And, I called myself Raj Hassan. And it was great fun. And it was colorful. There was noise and there was, it was like a big Tamil blockbuster film that night in central Chennai.
You're right there, Nagina, Chandrasekhar Azad fighting on his own party's ticket, the ASP. But interesting, where UP is concerned, though I do feel that, what they say in UP colloquial terms, Muzaffarnagar ka seat phasa hua hai for Mr. Balyan. Not going too well for him. But, Rajdeep, if I just come back and you need to gather your thoughts, what would be your biggest takeaway till now with what you've seen? 4-5 larger strokes on this election.
My biggest takeaway so far is I haven't seen a more unenthused electorate in general, barring pockets, than at the moment since 2009. You see, 2014, you sensed that there was this mood for change.
Election.
There was a mood for change. Modi was the new
leader
on the block.
I don't see a wave yet. Do you see a wave?
There are two things that we keep saying in journalism: wave and undercurrent. And frankly, you can pick up a wave.
It was a wave.
You can pick up a wave. Picking up the undercurrent is more difficult. What is
undercurrent? Right before the show, because he's done so many elections, and I asked him, tell me, how will you read an undercurrent? And he raised his eyebrows.
No, I don't know. You see, what is an because you've got a lot of silent voters, right? I've often wondered, Preeti, that it's not so much the voter who comes to your camera, who actually tells you what happens with an election, but the guy or the woman who's sitting far away, you have to go to them. They're not interested in coming to you and talking. And then when you get talking to them, you realize what is actually happening. I remember Karnataka last year when I met this woman silently standing on the side who spoke about the price of LPG. And you got a sense that, that was the reason why this had become almost the LPG election. The silent voter who doesn't want to come on camera often tells you the real story. And there is a sullenness at the moment. There isn't that sort of up ki bar, 400 par, nor is there some sort of anger against the Modi government at all. So there's a sullen, there's a sullen voter.
A thanda election.
It's a thanda election for now. It could pick up steam. The Prime Minister is making every effort to enthuse people. And look, I think even if there's been a low voter turnout in round one, it could work to the advantage of the BJP because of their last mile connectivity, their ability to take people to the booth. But there are, even there is no perfect indicator from the past. That low voter turnout means the government is in trouble or vice versa.
I'll ask you, Rajdeep. I did see a huge chunk of a silent voter. Now, is this Modi's voter who's not that vocal this time? What does the silent vote this election as per you mean?
I think the silent, what people forget is India's had 5 very tough years. We sit in Delhi studios and think, India's on the move. Yes, it is. But there are people suffering from water scarcity, lost jobs during COVID, suffered because of GST. You go to Coimbatore, I met this guy who used to be a job worker for a hosiery plant and then he's flying an auto today, right? Why? Because there are no, he wasn't getting enough work. So you've got a lot of such examples across the country where rural distress, falling incomes, jobs have all affected people. So I think the voter is sullen.
He could be the Modi voter as well.
He could be a Modi voter. He could be a Congress voter. Look, the Modi voter tends to normally be a little bit more assertive. I was on this rally of Tejasvi Surya in South Bangalore. He had organized a run from Namo with Rohan Bopanna and all there. And they were all shouting, Modi, Modi, and shouting in my ears and thinking that, I might do a Madison Square Garden once again. I'm not. And I had my bulky producer Vivek, who's, built like a boxer, so he was protecting me. But look, I think the voter in general, barring those hyper enthused voters of South Bengaluru, by and large has had a tough time in the last 5 years. And I don't think he thinks that an election is going to change anything. And I'll tell you why. Right. North Bangalore, for example, is 31 lakh voter constituency. Barmer, where you went, is a huge sprawling constituency. Baramati
second largest in the country.
That's right, in terms of size. But in terms, Baramati is 22 lakhs. From Ambi Valley near Lonavala, you come into rural Baramati. How is one MP going to resolve all your problems?
You're right. Yeah.
So I think the voter generally feels that, is this election really going to change my life? There's a sense of disillusionment at times with politics in general, not with specific leaders. And I think that reflects in the turnout. So I'm now going to look for places where there's color and where, of course, there's lovely food.
Well, great. So I'll be heading to West Bengal, Odisha, and maybe UP because hopefully we'll have...
Because she knows Bengali, she says.
No, I don't know Bengali. At least they speak Hindi there.
Okay.
I really don't want to say, why aren't you going to West Bengal?
No, you can say it, conflict of interest. Conflict of interest. The one state that I'm not going to in this election is West Bengal. That's Bengal's loss, not mine.